Do you pray? If you do, it means you believe in God. But do you have faith in God? Faith involves trust also. When you were a child, did you ask your mother to give you breakfast, to give you clothes to put on? No, you didn't, because you trusted your mother to give you whatever you needed. So if you have real faith, you will not ask God for favors. God knows what you need, what you deserve. If you think that you have to cringe before Him to get something, it means you don't trust God. You don't have faith in God. Therefore, meditation is the highest form of prayer. You have 100% faith. That is absolute faith, which includes probably a belief also. Absolute faith is not necessarily in something, but it is a kind of positivity of mind, a certain attitude which is best described as deterministic neutrality. That is, you think whatever happens is the best. There was a German philosopher by name Leibniz. He said that this is the best of all possible worlds. Not only that this is a good world, but this is the best of all possible worlds. Then you may ask, this is a nonsensical statement. There is such a lot of suffering, such a lot of pain, such a lot of dangers and misfortunes. How can you say that this is the best of not only all worlds, but all possible worlds? Now, if you look at the whole question very rationally, you will realize that the world goes on because of opposites, good and bad, joy and sorrow, so on and so forth, day and night. Without the opposites, this will be a nonsensical world. So, even from a rational point of view, everything that happens is not only good, but the best of all possible events that could have happened at a given moment of time. This attitude is what is called deterministic neutrality. You see every event as the best. So therefore, you don't ask for any change. You don't want to trouble God to make alterations in His plans. Of course, assuming temporarily that God is a person. God is not a particular person, it is consciousness. And the crucial point in spirituality is to differentiate between a particular self and consciousness. There is a great deal of confusion even in spiritualistic circles regarding the difference between a particular self and consciousness. Some people speak of self-realization. This is actually a nonsensical concept, because the self cannot realize itself. The self can only disappear, and then consciousness remains. Not that you experience consciousness. You cannot experience consciousness because that will be dualistic. Something which is limited cannot comprehend or apprehend that which is unlimited. So therefore, this differentiation between self and consciousness is very crucial. Buddha made this very clear. In Buddhism, this is called anatta. Anatta is non-self. In Sanskrit, it will be anatma. That is, when the self is not, consciousness is. When consciousness is, the self is not. So, the right spiritual endeavor will be to decrease the intensity of self processes. And when self processes are completely switched off, consciousness is. It is not that you get something. So many people try to meditate thinking that they will get salvation. So you are always driven by fear. So you pray to be saved. You are attached to the particular self, and you are attached to its apparent importance. You are attached to your own self-centeredness, and you want to make this permanent. Anything that is born will have to die also. Anything that comes into being will have to get annihilated also. Whatever is got will be lost also. So, what is permanent or what is beyond time is consciousness, which is beyond time and space. Time and space exist in consciousness. Pure consciousness does not exist in time and space. To understand correctly the difference between self and consciousness is very crucial if you want to understand meditation. Meditation is the process by which you transcend the self and you go beyond time and space. So there is what is known as the pace of mind. When you go to the beach in the evening or to the mountain top early in the morning, you find that there is a change in your mental rhythm. When you are hurrying to reach your office, you are having a heightened pace. So this difference in pace is what gets altered in meditation. You get control over this pace, and you can bring down this pace to zero, and that is real meditation. According to Einstein's theory, time is relative. Once a film producer came to me and he wanted a science fiction story to be made into a film. So I gave him a story which I shall tell you now. It illustrates the relativity of time and how time can be altered and how your response to time can be altered. In this story, there is a very old physicist. He was working throughout his life to make a machine which can alter the speed of time. The speed of time is, of course, relative according to Einstein's theory. So when he is very old and he is very sickly and he was to undergo a very serious operation the next Monday, by Friday evening he succeeds in making the machine. It is not a regular time machine in which you sit and travel through time, but this is a time machine where there is a box and you can alter the speed of time within the box. So you can either increase the speed or decrease the speed. So by Friday evening this box is ready. So the physicist puts a big piece of rock in the machine. He turns the speed to maximum and goes home. He returns on Monday, and Monday, after checking the working of the machine, he has to undergo this serious operation. So he comes on Monday morning and he thinks that the rock will be probably reduced to dust, because he has turned the time at the maximum speed. Of course, the speed cannot exceed the speed of time, velocity of time, but he set the speed to the maximum limit, which is close to the speed of light, which means millions of years would have passed within a weekend of 2 days. The physicist comes and examines the rock, and to his surprise, the rock is intact, but it shows considerable change. Using a super microscope, he looks into the box and examines the rock and finds that civilizations have sprung up in millions of years on the rock. And he even notes that there are very small buildings on the rock, and jungles, forest areas, and so on. Now, there is a hypothesis that on a small island, everything is miniaturized. People, animals, and trees all are in small size. So the rock is very small. Therefore, the life that has sprung up on the rock in millions of years is also miniaturized. So the physicist was trying to communicate with the living beings on the rock. But suddenly he finds that his computer makes some sound. Then he found that messages are coming on his computer. Then a voice said, "We are speaking from the rock which you kept in the machine. We have advanced so much in millions of years that we have surpassed your level of civilization. Now we have learned your language, and we are able to communicate through your own computer." So the physicist was very surprised. "How do you know about the rock and the machine?" Then they said, "We have advanced so much scientifically and technologically that we discovered that millions of years ago you placed this rock on this machine and enabled us to exist, develop, and evolve. So now we want to give you something in return." Then the physicist asked the people, "What are you planning to give me in return?" Then they said, "We know that you are going to undergo an operation today, but it won't be successful if you undergo the operation because your body is so weak. All your vital organs are damaged owing to old age." Then the physicist asked him, "What gift are you going to give me?" Then the voice said, "Whole body replacement." Then the scientist asked him, "What do you mean?" Then they said that we are going to transplant a whole body. You will get a new young body, and you will have your old mind to work with, to live with. So the scientist did not have to go to the hospital and undergo the operation. He got a whole body transplant. So this story illustrates the idea that time is relative and that you can go beyond the time if your consciousness goes to the absolute level through meditation.